Welcome to episode 4 of Champagne and Gratitude. And today we have our first guest, Kristine. So Kristine is a content creator and the creator of the popular Ultimate Capsule Wardrobe Workshop. She teaches women to put together stylish outfits with ease and developing a personal style that helps them embody the person they want to be. Welcome, Kristine.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
We're so excited.
I'm beyond.
First guest ever, so we're so pumped to get into it.
Absolutely.
However, how we start our podcast always is, what are you celebrating and what are you grateful for? So we're going to go around in a little circle. Okay. I'll start with Emma so you have some time to gather your thoughts. What are you celebrating today, Em, and what are you grateful for?
So today I'm celebrating just a small thing. I was having a couple of wines last night and Jamila and I went to this new breathwork place that's opened in Burleigh, and we did this hour of breathwork and then we sat and had a couple of wines. And it's been a bit of a hectic week, so it's so nice just to chill and
relax a bit.
Yeah, so I'm celebrating that, and then I'm grateful for my friends. So this weekend they're taking me for a belated birthday weekend away to Byron, and I can't wait. And I'm just so grateful. They've organised everything.
Very
and
cute.
Yeah, so cute.
Love it.
Yeah.
Christine.
It's your birthday. Okay, yes.
You're
No,
like,
belated. It was in August. It was ages ago.
That's exactly what I said this morning. She's like,
August.
I'm going away for my birthday. And I was like, I swear we just like, you
it
were
was-
away for your birthday, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in Bali, but this is the first weekend we could all get free together. So
Yeah.
here we are.
amazing.
I'm happy about it.
It's like a halfway birthday.
Yeah,
it's halfway to
perfect.
the next one.
Yeah.
Fun.
So
And
good.
Kristine, what are you celebrating and what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for being on this podcast.
Oh, so nice.
So cute. I love that.
Like, do you know, it was timing. I just did my first episode for my one last week.
Yeah, I can't
it's
wait to have a
perfect.
listen.
Yeah. And what I'm celebrating is I just realized I'm about to hit the second year. Is it my second year or third year? No. Since pivoting my entire career into
Yes.
like TikTok and Instagram and fashion. Like, so it's
Wow.
May 1st, 2024, and I started in May 1st, 2022.
Wow, what a change in over 2 years.
We're both like,
yeah, I can't wait to get into it.
I just
Yeah.
realized that. I was like, oh my gosh, has it only been that short? But it also feels like it's been so full.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you
so
say 2
exciting.
years today or
I think,
just?
no, May 1st.
Oh,
so
May
I'm like
1st,
2
sorry.
months
Yeah.
away, I think.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Does
amazing.
that mean I'm entering my third year?
Yes.
Wrapping up my second. Yeah.
I was
Is
Yeah.
that a second
confused
year
with that.
anniversary?
You're like, wow, where are we? What am I doing? What am I
It's my name.
celebrating? Literally.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
What about you, Jamila? What are you celebrating
goodness.
today? What are you grateful for?
Well, I was going to say the wines, but you stole that, didn't you? I'm joking.
You can have that one too.
I think I'm celebrating having like-minded people in my life, like for you,
Yeah.
being able to say, hey, let's go and do a breathwork session and then have a glass of wine after. Like we literally
Balance.
walked, we had two wines before we went into the, we probably shouldn't say that.
I'm like, I don't think that's recommended.
You're not meant to
I'm
do
pretty sure
that.
we
Don't
signed a
ever do
waiver
that.
to not.
I thought you were going to say I just had 2 wines before this
Oh,
recording.
I probably
It's
should
like
have done that
9
too.
a.m.
It's not even 9 a.m.
I don't ever drink either. Anyway, and we came
Lies.
out. We came out of the breathwork session, had some serious giggles, and I said, we both looked at each other and said, "One more wine." It
do
was
it.
great.
It was nice. It was much needed. It was great. Yeah.
So I'm
Like
very
perfection.
grateful for
Like
that.
breath work and wines.
It's
I like-
interesting though. Like I
Yeah.
don't know if I recommend it. I was a bit tingly
You're like,
and couldn't stop laughing. Like
yeah.
like full child mode of
It's
just
probably
like
why they turned the speaker up in the corner behind you.
I couldn't hear anything because the music was like.
Yeah, well, do you reckon you might have still been like integrating what was going on from the breath work?
100%.
And you're like,
Yeah,
my
it was
tickles
just
on.
a little bit too much. But I'm so. What was I celebrating that? Or
Yeah,
was
celebrating it, yeah.
celebrating that, and what it's the wines. And what I'm grateful for is family. Like I said in our last podcast, there's been a few interesting things happen in the last couple of weeks, and I'm just so grateful to have strong community and good family around me, constantly checking in and sending love. So that just got a little bit deeper, didn't it? One extreme to the
Oh,
other.
no, that's
So
beautiful.
grateful.
Yeah. Amazing. So, Kristine, our podcast, we're inspired by people like you, and we're so grateful for you coming on for our first episode. But we want to help inspire other people as well that have, gone down a similar journey from, moving away from a job or a part of their life that they weren't satisfied in, and then following a passion that maybe turned into a career. And you have done this journey, and it's absolutely amazing. So can you tell the listeners a bit about your journey?
Yeah, totally.
And how you got here 2 years in?
Yeah, 2 years in. So I think the journey consciously began when I was 30. So prior to that, I was a flight attendant living in Dubai. And I spent about 7 years doing that, flying around the world, And I thought once that wrapped up, I'd come back to Australia and then just get into marketing, like use my degree, get into marketing, build the corporate ladder. And then for the first year, it was all rejections. Anything that I applied for that was in the direction of what I thought I wanted was not working out. So it was
meant to be.
Oh, I know. But when you're in the moment, it's so dark. Like that's probably one of the darkest times of my life. Because I had, I didn't realize that I'd placed so much value of myself on my career. So I was like, this is my career, this is my value, this is my worth, this is my identity, this is what I do, this is how I dress, this is how I speak, everything.
You can relate to that.
Yeah. Same with me. And it wasn't until I went to see a psychologist actually, and it was like third session, massive breakthrough. It was like I had this realization that my identity was me being an accountant for the prior 10 years before that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And I just put so much value on climbing the corporate ladder and, this is what I do and it's a solid job. And that was me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me. And so having that realization is literally what kickstarted my journey.
100%.
Amazing.
You don't actually, I didn't realize at all how much I thought that was my entire identity and so much pride attached to it too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Always,
So then a year of going rogue, I was doing all these little odd jobs and feeling so little because there was nothing that was aligning, so I would enter these temp roles feeling like a loser, especially because I was 30 already.
Yeah.
A lot of my peers were they were climbing the corporate ladder. They were establishing things that were very, very solid. And I was just, doing a 6-week temp role over here and a 3-week temp role over there.
And that was in marketing, were you saying?
That was in anything. So one of the jobs that I did was... what was it? It's called corporate hospitality. So I was working in an accounting firm in the reception and then mainly setting up the boardrooms. And I was like, oh, this is just like my flight attending job without the travel. Because, it was like setting things up, which is totally a good job, but it wasn't what I thought I was going to be doing at that point during that pivot and transition. But anyway, because of all of those rejections, I was like, if I can't get hired for marketing, I'll just show people that I can market and start a YouTube channel. So I was watching YouTube a lot at the time, and I asked my bestie, and I was like, do you reckon I should start a YouTube channel? And she's like, 100%. And I was like, how does it work? She goes, just post one video a week. And I was like, okay.
Easy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And then the channel grew to about 20,000 subscribers in about 6 months.
Wow. And this is from posting one video a week.
But I think what I hadn't realized at the time was that I really tapped into understanding things about the digital world. So search engine optimization and the little techniques that you do to get found. And the videos that I put out had a purpose. So I was teaching people how to get a job as a flight attendant.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't realize how many people actually wanted that. I was just answering some of the questions that I was getting asked when I was on the plane. How did you become a flight attendant? How did you become a flight attendant?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you weren't actually speaking about anything that you talk about now, like fashion?
Absolutely not.
Wow,
Yeah, this is so
that.
fresh.
Yeah.
This is so fresh. And then I had a number of other businesses moving forward from there. Just trying to find something that brought me joy, but something that I could see myself being in for at least 12 more months.
Yeah.
It wasn't even where do I see myself in 5 years? It was more can I do this again for next month and the next month and the next month and the next month? So...
But sometimes that's what you have to do, right? It's it can become overwhelming if you are looking at what you want to do for the next 5 years or what's the end goal. But if you are just doing, what is the next step? It's so much more you're so much more able to do it than
and
I think.
motivating, I feel as well. Otherwise, it just seems too big.
Too big.
Yeah. Well, there's two sides. So part of it is like, yes, you feel motivated, but part of you feels like, well, for me anyway, I felt very much like jack of all trades. To me, it was a bigger ego battle than it was like actually starting and ending a business, because, you know, every time I started one, that was like, oh, I can see that this can succeed. Oh, I'm getting clients and da-da. But then I'd be like, oh, the more clients I'm getting, I'm like, the less happy I am.
Right.
Like, you know,
so it's
and
like
so
time to pivot.
yeah. And then my mum would be like, maybe you should just get a job. Like, you know what I mean?
It's always that someone, isn't it?
It's like, just get a job. And she would start sending me the fucking job ads for like, I'm like, Mum,
Thanks, Mum.
I'm doing something.
Good job, Mum.
Yeah. So that went on for like a few years. And then I finally found a place that I landed where I was really happy.
Yeah.
And I was teaching YouTube, how to do YouTube, to wellness coaches and business coaches, people who had helped me transform my life.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And
And 'cause
so
I was-
again, like those skills that you've learned, you're
Yes.
just passing them on.
Yes, and I specifically remember because back then I was like already like what got me through all of these pivots was tapping into things like meditation, you know, universal guidance, because it's like no one else is going to tell you, you know,
Oh, God,
especially if everyone around you has something you perceive as solid, it's like, and what you're doing is so different to what they're doing. Like where else do you get advice?
Yeah.
And where else do you get guidance? And so that's when I started tapping into like wellness practices so that I could trust my own navigation skills, which were still at the very much of their infancy. So then I was like, oh, okay, wellness coaches. And I because I was engaging in those as a consumer, I'd ask them like, how are people finding you? And they're like, just word of mouth. And I'm like, let's get you on the
Wow.
internet.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure
Let me
people
help
are
you.
looking for solutions for what you're doing. And so I started this thing called like YouTube for coaches, and I was a
Cool.
coach for that. And then I remember one of my meditations, it said like, this is what you're going to do, Kristine. You are going to help people first, and
Yeah.
you're going to use your skill to help people first, and then one day you'll do something for yourself.
Oh,
And I just
wow.
took that as a message like, oh, cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then about a year later is when I did a video for TikTok. And I didn't have any intention. I was just like, you know, my friends asked me all of these questions about how to do their sleeves, what's the length of skirt they should wear, and what
Yeah.
about this button-down shirt. And I was like, I should just do a TikTok. And TikTok is something that I wasn't using at all. So I had no plan for it. But I was like, I'll just do this so that I can send it to my friends. And then I went viral on day 1, day 2, and day 3.
Really?
Yeah.
so-
Like wildly viral. Like based compared to my experience with YouTube, I don't recall exactly, but I think it was like 70,000 followers on TikTok by day 3.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like total flip. And then I remember just thinking to myself, it was like 1 a.m, and I was like, I'm getting all these questions. Like, how do I answer them? How do I answer them? Because I even started a spreadsheet. Like, that's what I was like, I started a spreadsheet, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to answer all of these questions. And the spreadsheet was just getting longer and longer. And I was like, maybe I should take bookings. Yeah, I'm going to take bookings. So then I set up the back end to like take bookings, and I got booked out. And then I was like, okay, so this is not going to last. And then I had a meeting with a friend of mine who she's all digital. And I said, babe, I think I need to run a workshop just so that like all of these questions, we can answer them, and then we'll just replay. And then that was it. And like literally within a month of starting that, not even a month, probably about a week or 2 into it, I was like, that's it. I'm just going to go full fashion, and I'm not going to run this mastermind anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, like it was but it was very clear. It wasn't a hard
Yeah.
decision.
Wow,
Yeah.
70,000 followers after one day. I think
You're
it's
like, okay,
yeah, this is
Yeah.
You're obviously onto something.
Yeah. I turn on my phone every moment, and I'm like, I don't know, is this glitching or something? Like, it's true. And then I had already understood sort of like the back end of because that was my strength. It was always socials. So I could kind of understand what was going on, and I'd look at like my ex at the time, and I'd be like, do you like, this is wild. Like, I think I'm going to change my career.
Yeah.
And I'd wanted, no, I was happy with that career, but previous to that, I was
Yeah.
wanting to find something that was a perfect match between what I really love and something that doesn't feel like work at all whatsoever, but something still of purpose. You know, so those two things like purpose, fun, and profitable.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like without one of those things, I found with all of my experimentation with previous businesses, it's like if you don't have that trifecta, something folds.
Yeah, something's missing.
Yeah, something's
Yeah.
missing. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
And then today, so you've got now 2 years in,
Yep.
500,000 followers on TikTok. Wild.
Yeah.
And then you created the
The Ultimate Capsule Wardrobe
yeah.
Workshop, which is like, it was the thing that I created 1 month in. I will say a lot of my confidence that came from there, you wouldn't believe, came from a retail job that I took in fashion.
Really?
Yeah. So one of the times where I was like mentally fatigued with just like trying to figure out my path, my ex at the time, he was like, you should just get a job so that you can take a break. And at first I was like,
This sounds backwards.
yeah, I was like, dude,
I need a
like,
holiday, not a job.
Yeah, and I took it so in a different way that I felt like he didn't believe in me because like, why are you telling me to get a job?
Right, yeah.
But he had seen me like sort of run this race for at least 4 years now. 4 years of like trying something, ending something, trying something, ending something.
That's like what people forget as well. Like I think in these days, like everything, like you said, you got a certain amount of followers in one day, but people see that and be like, well, why can't I get that? And it's like I was going to say as well, your transition was so perfect. Like you felt like you were in this like cycle for so long, but it's led you to exactly where you're supposed to be. And like
100%.
people forget that like it takes time to figure out what your niche is. It takes time to put into the work, to figure it out, to learn. So it's really nice and like inspiring to hear people say like, it was 4 years. It wasn't just 4 days. It took me 4 years.
Yeah.
For
And it's
sure.
the same with you, like your journey from like nutrition to coaching to
True.
father complex
Yeah.
and like my journey as well. It's not. And I think people probably, it's that Instagram life. You look at it and you be like, oh, that's what she's done. And, it's obviously just happened overnight but it's not. People don't see the, the blood, sweat and tears
everything.
that go into it. And the,
Yes,
Yeah.
everything.
And it's those conversations, sorry to cut you off, but with your ex-partner as well, like being like, just get a job or like, and you having, that's someone that you would have really respected what he was saying. So it's like, oh, you've got to be like, well, no, actually, I don't want to do that.
Yes. Well, he meant well. Like the thing was, like now that I look at everything and all the conversations that took place prior to everything feeling so easy and being so easy, felt like I was battling my perception of their perception and my perception,
Yeah.
So all
We
he
do
could
that.
see, like living with me, was just this person like working so hard all the time to just find the right thing and just exhausted. And so when I came to that part where I was like, all right, I'm going to get a job. And then I was like, but then what would my previous clients think? They're going to think that I failed. Like they're going to think, why is she working here? And if she was teaching me how to do this, and why is she doing that? And so
Our
there were
ego.
so many layers of like this ego and like trying to strategize in my head like what I was going to say to anyone if and then I thought, okay, these are my options. I could get a job that has like a nice title, so that if anybody asks me like what happened, I'll be like, well, I got poached, or someone invited. And then the next option was to go for a job that was just a full mental break, like just take a break, mental holiday, not have to think about like not go to work and then come home with homework, not go to work and build up a client base. Because what I've learned is wherever you put your energy, no matter where you start, you're going to put the same amount of energy to just grow that thing.
Totally, yeah.
And then the other one was like, do something that you have wanted to do but didn't want to go to school for. And I was like, fashion.
Yeah, cool.
So then I changed what I was looking at. I was like looking at marketing executive roles and all of these in larger corporations. And I was like, I should go for a job where I can learn about fashion and women and what they actually really care about and go into retail. 2 different sections of the job seeking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not in the same place.
opposite ends, yeah.
Yeah. So then I took a casual job working for a premium Australian label. And that's what taught me about fashion and quality and people's values, what they really care about, shapes, structures. Prior to that, one of the other things that I started was photography. Like I was doing like personal branding photography. And people would ask me like how to style themselves. So I was already kind of in that phase where I'm like, I know what's going to, I have a feeling, I know what's going to look good on you and in these photos.
Yeah.
So now this was just more the technical training, but through experience.
Yeah. And then it's like bringing all these small pieces together to create what you have now, which is just
100%. Now everything feels definitely a lot easier. We can do things a lot faster.
Yeah.
I know sort of how, in terms of like business, getting into certain conversations, I'm definitely a very different person from how I was when I first started. I was very much like, before I'm like, oh, if I say no to this, like, what are they going to think of me? And I never would have thought that back then. I thought that I was already putting my most confident foot forward. But now that I see myself, looking in hindsight, I'm like, definitely now the reason why conversations and negotiations and boundaries are so solid so fast is because of all of that, like previous 4 to 8 years of just like.
It's like prepping you essentially.
Yes.
And I think we need to realize as well, especially when we're just starting out on a new pathway, that it's okay to say no. And often, you know, even if you say no to say one opportunity, they might come back with an opportunity that's more aligned to what you are. And by saying no to something else, you might be opening another door.
Yes.
But we know when you are starting out and you do get an opportunity or an offer or whatever it is, sometimes it's hard to say no.
It's like, oh, well, I might not get, you know,
Yes.
like when will be the next offer? I should probably
Yeah.
take this, but then I've got this going. Yeah, it's one of those things is like, and I guess that we always talk about is having the boundary as well as you grow your business and everything that you're doing is like having strong boundaries. And
100%. And I feel like a lot of that boundary is maybe impacted by your clarity on what matters to you, like what your values are.
what your values are.
Because
Yeah.
I find that the more you grow anyway, one of the key things that stays the same is the fact that there's always going to be yes and no's. Always. It's just that the things that you say yes to feel bigger, and some of the things that you say no to also feel bigger, but ultimately it comes back to yourself and
What's aligned.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So coming back to your journey, was there one specific point that was like a real pivotal moment or a real turning point that you were like, you know, maybe when you're air hostess, I can't do this anymore, or something doesn't feel right. You know, was there one moment where you're like, I need a change?
Yes. For me, I feel like it was a series of moments.
Yeah.
It's like finding that something is a fit until it's like something feels off.
yes,
You know?
Yeah.
I was speaking about that in the first episode. Sorry to cut
Really?
you off, but I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I know that.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's very much like everything goes right, but then everything goes wrong so that you can take the next
Yeah.
step.
Well, it's almost like because every business that I'd put up, it felt right at the beginning because my qualifying, like my metrics were like, can I do it? Am I good at it? And can I keep doing it?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like- and so what I found with like all of these businesses that I was doing was like, I can do it. I am good at it, but can I keep doing it? And one of the biggest ones that I was like really, really challenged with was so another thing that I had started was a social media consulting. Because
Yeah.
I was good at it and I knew how to do it and I knew how to teach it in a very step-by-step process and then actually apply a strategy. But that felt very corporate for me. So
Yeah.
I was like, what's this missing? I was like, the creative aspect. So I want to be a
Yes.
creator. So then I dipped back into photography and I became a photographer, like full time. And I made a friend who was also a full-time photographer and she loved it and she was succeeding like so quickly.
Yeah, she
and
had
so
that passion.
yeah, and I was wondering like why, and like not me comparing me with her as a person, but me comparing my passion to like her passion. And I was like, universe, if you could just give me a sign that I'm going to put all my eggs in this basket and like grow this business. And I was sitting on the second floor of where I was living at the time, and this bird like just popped up onto the ledge, and it was just like tweet, 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 tweet.
As you said that?
Yeah, I
as a-
said, please give me a sign. But the way, obviously, you're like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean yes, or
Is
does
it a
that
yes
mean
or
no?
no?
Can you please speak English, Bird?
Translator, please, someone.
But it was like such a unique experience. But the way that I read it was like just wait.
Yeah.
It wasn't a yes or a no. It said just wait. And so about a week later, man, I got an email from like, I think it was like a Netflix casting company.
Yeah.
For like this travel show. Right.
Oh,
and because I was
amazing.
already on the internet. So I was like, how did you find me? And they're like, oh, your YouTube channel. And then I remember because I was sitting in traffic when I saw the like little notification pop and I didn't read it, but I was like, the spam, that's
Yeah.
spam,
Okay.
And then when I read it when I got home and I was like, oh, this looks like potentially real. And then I found out it was actually real and I was being casted for the show. But then I was
great.
like, okay, if my level of joy for this is superseding everything, then the photography ain't it. Like,
Yeah.
because then like now I see why my friend at the time, like she's gone at it. Like,
Yeah.
because she feels this level of joy with what she's doing and I simply do not. And because I do not, I was sabotaging myself.
Yeah, but it's amazing that you were able to see that and make a change, because I feel like it's so common these days to things aren't that bad, but they're not that good.
Yes.
So you don't change. And so
Yes.
people end up staying in these situations that, well, it's not that bad.
Yes.
And so they stay in it, whether it's, a job, their career, their relationships,
Yep.
friendships, like whatever the situation might be.
Yes.
situation might be. And it's like, well, it's not that bad.
Yes.
But it's also not that good. But for you to be able to have that awareness, to see
Yes.
that I don't have as much joy. I see more people having more joy doing this.
Yeah.
I need to change. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Well, in hindsight, it's funny because I never knew that joy was my metric, but my
Yeah.
behavior was showing that. Because I never really, like, while I could keep a business kind of going, I never could see past breaking even. You know, when you start a business,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I'm at a loss. Okay, now I'm breaking even. But I couldn't actually see myself moving forward from that. And I was
Yeah.
like, Kristine, do you have money mindset issues right now? But then it wasn't. It's that my metric for success was at the time wasn't just money.
Yeah.
And so joy was my number one metric. And then my second one was money.
And it'll come.
Yes. And so with the alignment of joy, money obviously came because
Yeah.
now my first priority, which was joy, was being fulfilled.
Yeah.
So then now I could focus on making money because I'm
Yeah.
no longer trying to understand like what's going on internally. That was the biggest, honestly, that was
That's so
probably the biggest
important.
moment.
Yeah.
To make people understand as well, like people just chase money, and I think they forget to chase like the joy and the happiness and what fills up their cup. So it's really nice to have that reminder for our listeners. People may be struggling with money mindset is to what are the things that really make you happy, and then everything kind of follows. Like
Absolutely.
yeah, energy changes as well naturally when you're doing things that fill up your cup. So it's really
Totally.
nice to hear that.
Yeah. You start operating off a different frequency, I think, and making the money isn't so much of a push anymore because you're not pushing it. For me,
Yeah.
anyway, I was no longer pushing against my joy. And so that call became the sign that I was like, oh, I think I want to have something that allows me to travel. And whilst all the other things that I had set up prior to that may have led to that, it wasn't so obvious to me.
Yeah.
Granted, everything I started after that wasn't also directly there, like YouTube for coaches. I mean, but at least that the way that business was set up was it could be done remotely. And
Yeah.
I did masterminds while I was in Thailand, or
Oh,
you know what I
cool.
mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, so this allows me to continue being in alignment, something that has purpose, and
I
I
can
can be
travel.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's the-
slowly, there's like this tick box of what's important to me and how
Yeah.
can what I'm building continue to be in alignment with that.
Yeah. So on that topic then, what advice would you have for other people that are sitting there, they know they have that feeling, they know that they're destined for more, they want to make a change, but then just not sure where to start?
Oh man, I feel like step one would be to identify what it is that you do want.
Yeah.
Like, what are write down 5 things that you know you want, or even if you don't know, because the thing is, even doing this exercise itself will show you whether you know what you want or you like.
Totally, yeah.
'Cause, you
And
know,
maybe that's where the
Yes.
first hurdle is actually, well, what do you want from this life? Yeah. Because I think the thing nowadays is that we have so many different options.
Yeah.
And so many different possibilities that it's like, and so many different influences from different places, parents, like
Yes.
social media, whatever it is. How do you identify, like, what is it that I want?
Yeah, well, that's a great, yes, actually, because when you write down, you're like, so write down the 5 things that you want, top 5 things that you want. But if you're not too sure, here's a couple of examples. I knew that I wanted some flexibility in time.
Yeah.
For my day. I used to think that I was listening to these success, podcasts, and I learned so many things. But one of the things I tried that I couldn't get down with was like starting this amazing routine. And I was like,
really?
What? Yeah, dude. Like,
I love a routine.
I-
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my now I started learning about human design
Yeah,
and whatnot, but there were certain things that I thought, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't it like working for me? And then I was like, okay, well, maybe for me, I want my day to start at midday.
Yeah.
And then once I stopped doubting that I could be successful by starting my day at midday,
Yeah.
then I could lean in and kind of just, so I started writing these things down, or as time passed, and I was like, I would like it if I could start my day at like maybe 11 or 12 or 1.
Yeah.
I would like some flexibility, like with where I can go. I always, like one of the top things has always been something of purpose, something of purpose that's outside of myself. And that includes something that can serve, I don't know about the word serve, but like something in alignment where I can sort of connect joy with my family and provision for that, and travel, and what else? Just something that I felt was fun.
Yeah.
Fun is one of
fun.
my
So
company
important.
values. And so,
Yeah.
you know, what's fun? Then you go, okay, well, what is fun? So if you want fun, you're like, is fun for you going to an office? Is fun for you going to the beach? And so like writing these things down. But then the more you do this exercise, you'll notice that it evolves because you start to get deeper and deeper and deeper.
And we
deeper.
change as well.
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like it's that piece of paper and writing everything down is creating the life, like your dream life, like slowly planning it, like bringing awareness to it. Okay, I really want to start my day at 12. And then you that just sits in the back of your mind, and then you'll start to do things that lead you to doing that. And then it might be like, okay, so I'm really interested in this. I might study this. And then it's like, that's that one step to manifesting the life that, like living life by design, like you're creating that. I love that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you also find that you start attracting people that are connected to what you like.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
really bizarre how that happens.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like
And that's what we're all about on this podcast as well, is helping other people, like giving them tips how to create that life. And I think that's such a good tool to have on board, is to start writing things down like that.
For sure.
Yeah. What is it that you want? Yeah.
Well, you know what's so uncanny now that we're talking about this? So this last couple of years, I've been so blown away by the people that have come into my life. And I remember journaling about this just before I went viral.
Yeah.
I remember journaling and just saying, you know, I'm surrounded by highly skilled, fun-loving people. So like I had this combination
Yeah,
of people that I
cool.
wanted, which is why when you were like, I had wine and like we did breath work and wine, I'm like,
Yes,
yes and yes.
tick, tick, tick.
This is one of my people.
Yeah. And it just, over time, it actually starts to multiply. Like
Yeah.
it started off with, I made one friend. And mind you, like I'd been here in Brisbane for I'm 39 now, so 30. And I started off with no one, like, okay, my ex. And of course, I appreciate it so much because I was brought into an environment where there were people already around me.
Community, yeah.
But when I decided that I wanted to grow some roots in the city, because I'm from Adelaide, I was like, so I was like, I need to make some friends, you know, independently. And so I really started from nothing because all of my friends were everywhere but Brisbane. And then now when I see it having multiplied, I think there was even a time in my life where I was like, I surrender.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just
Yeah.
not that person who has lots of friends like in this
Yeah.
city. Maybe I have lots of friends everywhere else, but so, but that changed. That
slowly.
changed the more clear I got on what I wanted, the more everything started to come with velocity as
Yeah.
well.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
when you get in the
Direction.
flow of the direction, so like you're saying, like identifying what you want, and I feel like as soon as you do identify what it is, the things just come really quickly.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be quite like, not overwhelming, but you know, there's some.
Like, oh, whoa.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
actually worked.
Yeah, there's some days you look around, or like, you know, an email will come through and I'll be like, wow, this is amazing. Like this
Yeah.
is it's something else. It's something else. And it
Yeah.
is. I think it's, having that goal and, identifying what that looks like, what success looks like for you. And
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's a really great indicator of alignment as well, is that when you get the emails and you're just
Yeah.
like, ooh.
Yeah, you know, there's that joy, there's that fun.
Yeah, it makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm loving that. As we come, I guess, closer towards the end of the podcast, and thank you so much for sharing your stories and all your tips. I feel like it's amazing to start off the podcast with someone like yourself. It's really inspiring, so thank you. But I guess for our listeners and as well for now, like what are you currently working on? Like what's your next kind of, if you feel like sharing, you're like,
That's a good question. That is a very
What's your
good
next
question.
goals?
So we've got like a few more different workshops and masterclasses for people who are traveling, like they want to dress and they don't want, I guess I'm just saying some of the problems that I had when I was like traveling.
Yeah, definitely.
Running workshops, masterclasses that fulfill specific needs.
Yeah, cool.
So for example, people who just left the corporate world and then went into their master's degree. So
Yeah.
what does a wardrobe look like that? And so we get heaps of really good feedback about the workshops and masterclasses that we've done so far. So being able to do more of that through the year. And And apart from that, I realized I'm not a huge planner, like specific planner.
Yeah, but the Capsule Wardrobe, if the listeners, if you haven't checked out the Capsule Wardrobe,
check that out.
you need to do the workshop. I've done it. It's incredible. It's changed my wardrobe, but it's also, I feel like it's changed for me.
I just had a realization. I remember having a conversation with you. I've just totally cut you off.
Yeah.
Conversation with you outside Matt's office being like, oh, I need to redo my wardrobe. I feel like I'm going through this whole new like me. Like I feel like my clothes don't identify as me anymore. That I see that person, I'm like, ooh, yuck. Like, and you were telling me all about you.
This is Kristine. Yeah, welcome.
It's you. Hi, wow. I just put everything together.
We've arrived.
When I met Emma, that was one of the first things that you said to me. And you're like, I took your workshop. And I was like, no way.
Oh, and it was just amazing because I think for me now, like I really enjoy shopping, but I enjoy buying nice quality items and having less.
Yeah.
And now I don't have that overwhelm when I open my wardrobe. So I feel like not only has it changed my wardrobe, but it's changed my mindset around it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have more excitement and joy when I open my wardrobe. And I feel like I have so much less because I've cleared it out so much.
Yeah.
But I have so many more options.
Yeah, and it's so much easier to dress, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like even me, I'm not gonna lie. Like when I woke up today, I was like, "What am I gonna wear today?" And I was like, "It's a podcast." And I was like, "Well, let's do that. Why, let's
do your own little.
Yeah. It's almost like a uniform type thing that always wins. Because I got asked the other day. They're like, "Oh, when you look into your wardrobe every day, do you get lit up every single day?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know that I get lit up every single day, but I am lit up by certain pieces that go. Yeah, I love that. That's like a representation of me.
Yeah.
But also to be able to go through and just be like, oh, I don't have time to think this morning about what to wear and I'm not feeling too creative, but I know this works and that always works.
Totally.
Yes.
And sometimes you just need that safe go-to option.
100%. Yeah. Where you also, it's easy, but you also feel super chic and like super cool today.
I think it's so important because like I know if I pop something on that I'm not feeling great in, it does show up in my being.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, oh, just don't
Actually,
feel great.
I'm listening to a book at the moment called The Charisma Myth, and it's really good, and it touches on how what you wear and how that will have a subconscious effect on your mannerisms and that. So things like if you're going to a meeting and you're wearing something uncomfortable, you might wince your face slightly differently. The person that's interviewing you will subconsciously, because we read people, see that. And if you're squinting or something called because you're uncomfortable or you keep fidgeting, they might find you untrustworthy.
Yeah.
And there's all these different scenarios. And so the importance of actually being comfortable in your clothing and feeling
100%.
confident. And
Or how about like when you just walk into somewhere and you just go, oh, I feel so underdressed right now.
Yeah.
Or I feel too overdressed right now. And you just feel like,
out of place.
you feel uncomfortable in your own
Yes.
not just your clothes, but you start to feel uncomfortable in your body.
You're not as like, I know that I kind of like hunch my shoulders a little bit more. I'm like, hopefully no one will see me now. Like, they can definitely see me more than they did when I was standing up straight. So it's so important. I guess sorry, cutting everyone off.
I was just going to say thank you so much. But so do you have any like a mantra or a motivational quote or something that you live by that you could share with our listeners today that might inspire them a little bit?
Yes, this came across one of the courses that I was in. I love signing up to coaching programs. This one really, really stuck. It's be, do, have.
Wow.
So in
that.
anything that you want to attract, you start off with your state of being. And from that place, that's when you take action. That's when you do. Yeah. And then once you do and you're in alignment, then you will naturally have.
Oh,
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that one down, actually.
Yeah. I will say though, the other day I had I was in a shift and a different one sort of came up for a different context.
Yeah.
So this is in the dating context, and it said think, feel, be before you go and like take action.
Yeah.
So because your mind will kick in, like, and then feels, because they're like, if it feels good, do the thing. If it doesn't feel good, but sometimes it's not just those two things. It's be in alignment with your values, your standards, and then from there you act. Like
that's really
right.
important.
Get a book and a date.
Yeah.
We're giving you a call for a pep talk prior.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, that was so much fun. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you
that
for
was really
having
good
me.
to have
Yeah,
you.
it's amazing.
It's a real pleasure.
Yeah. First person on the podcast.
Yay. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it a lot.
You're
Oh, we
so
loved it.
welcome. And we'll put all Kristine's details down the bottom as well so you can all reach out and You have to do the capsule wardrobe if you haven't.
I need to get onto that actually
Yeah.
because I remember you telling me like you have to do it. And I was like, yeah, I'll get to it. But now I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, you have to.
So
Amazing.
stoked. All right, well,
Awesome.
epic.
Yeah, thanks listeners. We'll be here next episode.
Bye.
Thanks for joining. Bye.
Ciao.